Welcome to the morning after CFFL Week 5 edition on the CFFL Network on YouTube. And here's your host, Chris Weber. Well, welcome to the show today. We got a big show going on today. We have a special guest commentator coming in for a brief second, but we do have a lot to go, so let's get right into the action and take a look at what happened this past week in the CFFL. First of all, we saw a big game between the LBM and the Bruisers. Team LBM falls to 4-1 as they lose the tiebreaker. Matt Ryan scored 15 points to Joe Flacco's 5 as Team LBM falls then because of that. Alshon Jeffrey had a big day, but Philip Rivers had a little bigger day. The Bruisers moved to 4-1. Another big game this week was a rematch of a couple Super Bowls in the past. Rematch of 3 Super Bowls. The Cardinals take down the Sasquatches in the battle of the 2-2s, 57-49. Surprising receivers took over the game. Julius Thomas had 19. Terrence Williams had 16. Sasquatches had a lot of people on bye as the Cardinals squeaked by because of that. Gargoyles and Garbage Men battled. Garbage Men move up to 2-3 as they went 87-76. The Gargoyle receivers were huge as they combined for 43 points. James Jones, Josh Gordon, and Des Bryant. The Kansas City defense and Stephen Hauschka, though, combined for 28 points as that was enough to lift the Garbage Men to their second victory. It was the upset of the week as the Gargoyles were a 6-point favorite. The Kongs take down the Horn Dogs 64-39. The Kongs were led by Justin Tucker's 18 points. The Horn Dogs had a rough week. No players were in double figures. Cam Newton was the top scorer with 8 points. The Bone Storm handled the Donkeys 95-51. Peyton Manning, another huge week, 32 points. Tony Romo had 33 points for the Donkeys. However, he was on the bench this week. Still wouldn't have mattered. Only would have gotten him up to around 70 if that would have happened. Next up, we have the Black Dingoes and the Badgers. The Badgers pick up their first victory of the year. Congratulations to them. The Super Bowl champs get off the schneid and end their Super Bowl hangover. The Black Dingoes fall to 2-3. Ray Rice and Jacquizz Rodgers combined for 30 points for the Dingoes. The rest of the team struggled, though. So now we will get into Player of the Week, that type of action. And with the Player of the Week honors, let's go to Chris Berman, who's going to give a little special commentary on this one. Tony Romo, Player of the Week. He could go all the way. 506 yards, 5 touchdowns, 33 points. Back. Chris, that really doesn't make much sense. We're talking about football here, and Tony Romo. Don't think that makes much sense. Did I ever tell you about the time I knocked in that big putt on Pebble Beach? Chris, no, it's not time for self-promotion here. We'll cut you off now, and we'll move on with the show. We just saw the Player of the Week. Let's go to the Walk of Shame right now and see what that was this week. This week's Walk of Shame goes to the Donkeys. For the second time this year after picking a player that was cut soon after, although re-signed for the Donkeys, Tony Romo was not in the starting lineup. 33 points. Huge week. Donkeys doing another Walk of Shame as they fall to 1-4 on their return to the CFFL. Pickup of the week. Again, we're getting really hard here. Yobich. Brandon Jacobs might be the guy just because he's going to be getting the carries this week. 11 carries, 37 yards this week, and David Wilson is supposedly out, so it might be time for Brandon Jacobs. This week, Griff's Gripes go into the name game, and Griff has some suggestions. As some of you know, Dante Whitner, as you can see with the big hit there in a playoff game a couple years ago, is thinking of changing his name to Dante Hittner. Here are a few other suggestions from Griff he'd propose. Darren McFadden to Darren McInjured. Tony Romo to Tony Homo. Griff, this is 2013. You're homophobia. Let's get past it, Griff. It's not funny. Isaiah Peed to Isaiah Peed the Bed. Can't get past that one, can you? Matt Schaub to Matt Pick 6. Very true. And JJ Watt to JJ Royds are awesome. Griff also has a message out to Chet. Nice win this week. Your kicker and defense are truly superior to his. Little sour grapes there, Griff, but it wouldn't be a Griff's gripe without a little sour grapes. Moving on now, take a look at the week it was. We had a couple trades. The Fighting Sasquatches and the Dingoes exchanged number 3 receivers. Tavon Austin went to the Sasquatches for Denarius Moore, and Team LBM and the Cardinals made a trade. Victor Cruz and Bradshaw were traded to the Cardinals for Gio Bernard and Bernard Pierce. In most of those trades, no one really performed too much. Unfortunately, there's a typo there. Austin should have an I in it. But yeah, nobody really performed well, so we'll have to see in the future who won those trades. Next up, big games this coming week. The Bruisers and the Cardinals. Bruisers, by the way, nice new logo. They're 4-1, taking on the 3-2 Cardinals. The Cardinals get lucky again, as I see Julio Jones and Lamar Miller off this week. And then also the Garbage Men, who are the second highest scoring team, take on the Kongs. 2-3 versus 4-1. Huge game. Now we're time to go deep. I'll be taking a look at the middle division this week and seeing what's up with them. And also next week we do have that breaking story. Emma's finally got it ready. It's a huge one. Probably going to be ESPN 30 for 30. It's developing slower than molasses in January, which is another hint. There's been 3 little hints now, so hopefully you can figure out what's coming next week. Going deep, we got the Madison Bone Storm. Their needs, obviously. Peyton Manning, only 26 points a week. Come on. You need a better quarterback than that. Seriously, though, running back 2 or flex. Ben Jarvis, Woodhead. Woodhead's been pretty good, but will he be able to keep it up and keep getting these touchdowns? And Roddy White, who's been hurt, who could give you a good solid flex or at least a number 3 receiver and let Nix move down. He's been hurt. I don't know if he's going to come healthy this year. Got hurt again last night. Depth, quarterback depth, although RG3 hasn't been great this year, he's got a lot of intriguing potential down the road. Next up, Chris's Cardinals. Needs, surprisingly, they traded away a running back. 2 of them, actually. They probably need another one. Trent Richardson, CJ2K, finally scored a touchdown. Bilal Powell, now with the Jets' crowded backfield, and Zach Stacy, not exactly loaded there. Couple number 2 running backs, flex with Powell, but probably need another one. Richardson has some potential, and CJ2K does have potential after the break, after his bye, but right now probably need another running back. Depth, a lot of receivers. Victor Cruz, Julius Thomas, Jimmy Graham, Torrey Smith, Justin Blackmon off suspension, and T.Y. Hilton, who's inconsistent, but when he has a good game, he's really good. Next up, Chet's Garbage Men, the second highest scoring team. Flex position probably. Fred Jackson's been great so far, but will it be able to continue? Jason Snelling has been okay. Once Ridley comes back, that'll allow those guys to be a flex. And also wide receiver 3, Vincent Brown, Golden Tate, not really done much this year. Some potential, but we'll see. But his big depth, and also which will help alleviate some of those problems above, Gronk. That'll help. He can be dancing with his shirt off and playing games. So right now he's just dancing with his shirt off. Finally, we have the Black Dingoes. Needs, wide receiver 2, Stevie Johnson, with who knows throwing to him at this point. That's a little bit questionable. He does have a good number 3 in Denarius Moore. But he does probably need to get another receiver at some point, especially with Owen Daniels being hurt. Depth, running back depth. He's got good depth there. He's got Sproles. He's got 2/3 of the Atlanta backfield. Better 2/3 so far. Snelling is a touchdown machine, though. Touchdown vulture, I should say, not a machine, per se. Ray Rice, Chris Ivory has some potential. So, yeah, there's some good points there with the Dingoes that they may make a move and improve themselves at receiver. So that's our show today. We kept it at around 8 minutes, so pretty good. Also wanted to give a shout-out to both the Garbage Men and the Bone Storm. Right now the Bone Storm are at a ridiculous pace, scoring 78 points, and that's not just the flex, because this flex has not had that many points this year. Mostly Peyton Manning. Right now he's at 78 points a week. The record is 72 a week. So it's an impressive showing for the Bone Storm. Will it be able to continue? We'll see once the weather gets cold, but we'll go from there. Thanks for tuning in today. Next week, Emma's expose will take over Going Deep. So Going Deep, that final division, will be looked at after week 7. So I'll see you guys next week. Good luck this week to all, except Burns. Bye.